Body strong, mind strong. My name's Graham Sharp, the first Zimbabwean to complete the Dakar Rally on a motorbike. So my experience with the Dakar 2020, well, I think first off, just really happy to get it done, to get out of there injury-free, to have an incident-free race pretty much. But overall, I think just hugely proud to have been able to go onto the world stage in the event like the Dakar, fly the Zimbabwean flag, wear the Zimbabwean colours, and put Zimbabwe on the map. So really proud and really grateful for the opportunity, and the ability to accomplish a childhood dream is huge for me. You know, the Dakar Rally is one of the most challenging human endeavours you can take on. It is the toughest motorsport event, 14 days long, between 9 and 10,000 kilometers all up. Typically half the field in the motorcycle category crash out or fall away from the standings. This year, for example, we started 167, we finished 96. So almost half of that field didn't finish. So I'd luckily spoken to as many people as I could. I had as much research and as much information prior to starting that I could find. So I knew physically I had to be in the best condition possible. I had to find the best strength and conditioning coach that I could. I had to change my nutrition, I had to eat well, I had to eat clean, I had to hydrate, I had to understand the recovery process for my body. I needed to understand the importance of sleep, and then come up with a really good race strategy to survive 14 days in the desert. So preparation, absolute key. Planning, preparation, and then the execution. So and the pressure of the race and pressure of finishing is taken care of by good preparation. So I'm very fortunate to say I had a perfect race. I felt well prepared, I felt physically ready, mentally strong, and I was able to go out there every day and know I was going to get it done. In order to qualify for the Dakar in the first instance, I had to build up a resume of international races that were very similar to the Dakar in type and condition and duration. So I was fortunate enough to race in Mexico, race in Morocco twice. That was a good opportunity to learn the dunes, the technique, and what I was in for. So that was one aspect of the preparation. The second one was just time on the bike, and then getting my body used to the sort of 10 to 12 hour days on a bike. So a lot of people think motorcycling is easy, you just sit down and use the accelerator and the engine does all the work, but it's one of the most challenging physical pursuits you can undertake, because the body's constantly moving and you're an extension of the motorbike. So whatever the motorbike does flows through into your body. So if you go over a big jump, the motorbike's going to move a certain way, your body's going to move as well. If the motorcycle crashes, you crash. So you're connected to the bike. So from that side, I needed to give my body as much conditioning and as much preparation for the grueling, repetitive nature of 14 Dakar stages. That was gym work, it was training, it was lifting weights, it was working under duress, it was high intensity cardio work, it was stretching, making sure the body was flexible, and that if I did fall, that the body had the best chance of recovering, I wasn't going to get injured. So the stronger the body, the stronger the ability to withstand those challenges. Yeah, so the Dakar obviously has a lot of uncertainties, and there were several that I had to deal with. One was the cold. We were in the winter season in Saudi Arabia, so temperatures at night dropped to sort of 0 degrees, -1, 2, 3 degrees, and then you add the wind chill factor of sitting on a motorcycle at 120 k's for 3 to 4 hours in those temperatures. That was the toughest challenge for me, was dealing with the cold. I was prepared for it. I had as much equipment and clothing to deal with it, but there's only so much you can put on and so much you can wear. But short of getting inside a closed vehicle, you're going to be dealing with the wind chill factor. The other one for me that I didn't have much experience with was the dunes. I'd ridden 3 races prior where I'd had dunes, so I probably had all of 12 days of dune riding behind me. And the dunes are it's a technique-based approach to the dunes. So I got through them. It wasn't pretty, it was tiring, but I backed myself that I could manage the dunes in whatever shape and form they came up with. I wasn't expecting the motion sickness that I got on the dunes. So if people get airsick, people who get seasick, the dunes are so vast and so big, and at certain times of the day, the way the sun shines on the dunes, it's very difficult to pick up the topography and the relief of the dunes. So the mind's obviously confused about, you feeling a certain sensation going down a dune, but your mind's telling you that it can't pick up what's in front of you. So I got very, very motion sick on the second last day. So that I had to really dig deep through that. So motion sickness, you lose your sense of balance, you get really, really hard to navigate or to even keep focus. So I had 150 Ks of motion sickness. That was probably the moment where I really had to dig deep and say, sure, I got to get this done. It's really unpleasant, but it's the nature of the beast. The closer I got to the finish line, the emotion started to build, but I just knew that I couldn't let the mind finish before we were actually done. So the last stage was typically a shorter stage. It was 167 Ks. It wasn't very technical, but for some reason in the last 40 Ks I seemed to hit every rock that was in the desert, and I was getting really frustrated with myself because I didn't want to throw it all away. Done 12 days or 11 days of the race, and I'm in the final day, and just the last 40 Ks just seemed to go on forever, and I think the nerves were building, and the sort of anxiety of just getting done through those last 40 kilometers. And still on the last day I went past two guys who had crashed really badly, so it's a very real possibility that you throw it all away in the last day, so and then when I got to the finish, I think I just got a little bit overwhelmed when I saw the finish line and the flags up, just the realization that 3 years of planning and preparation had come to an end, and I'd achieved my goal. So there's a very, very emotional moment at the finish line when all those riders come across and they're all achieving their own personal dreams. They've all overcome various challenges on a personal capacity. They've taken so many people on the journey. So then to get there and to finish it's an incredible feeling. And those who've done Dakar will know it's hard to describe, but it's a sense of huge relief and a sense of, wow, I've done it. Yeah, I think getting to the finish, it definitely did take a while for it to settle in. I had the initial sort of rush of emotion that, wow, it's finished, and you sort of breathe a huge sigh of relief. And then, to be honest, you still have to go to the ceremonial finish. That's when you're on the podium, you get your medal, you're flying the Zim flag, and that's when it started to sort of sink in, and it was like, okay, I'm on the finisher's podium, I've got the Zim flag around me, I've got the medal in my hand, it's done. But then that stretches into a couple of days and probably into weeks, because you get back and then you're at the airport and there's hundreds of people there to meet you. You're continuing the story, you're sharing it with people, you're inspiring the next generation. Friends and family are so proud of you. So I think even now still, to be honest, it hasn't really sunk in that I did it. And people are like, oh, you're the guy who did the Dakar, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did do it. Like I'm still like buzzing, so yeah, it's awesome. So did I expect the return, the welcome? Not really. When I was in the passport line, I looked up at the Rari airport, and there's that big glass sort of balcony. I saw a dozen people, and I thought, okay, it's my friends and family, so I was waving, and cool, a couple of people come to say hello. I was pretty homesick by then. I really was excited to come home, and I had a chat to the immigration official, and I was like, it's really good to be back, and they knew a bit about my story. And so I was talking to a few people, but I wasn't by any means prepared for walking out there and then just seeing all those people. I was like, whoa, because I'd been so immersed in the race and so focused on the task at hand. I wasn't really diving into the social media. I wasn't following along. I didn't even know what was happening sort of at the top of the race. I just knew I had to get my own race done. I didn't need any noise and distraction. So I think when I got to the airport, I was suddenly exposed to what had been happening out of my sort of personal focus perspective. So now I thought, wow, this means so much to so many people, and the Zim flag that I carried there was, means something to everyone. And I was like, okay, this is a big deal, and time to share the story and to try and do what I can to share that story and inspire the next Zimbabwean, because I just definitely don't want to be the last one. So, at what age did this dream come to light? I think I can't remember a specific time frame, but I remember as a young boy in those days used to watch the Dakar on TV, and the person that comes to mind for a lot of us from Southern Africa was a guy called Alfie Cox. He podiumed, I think came second at the Dakar. That was when it was in North Africa. And it was a huge adventure, and it was just this sort of the allure of the desert and the dunes and riding a motorcycle through some of the most wild and inhospitable terrain was such a fascination for me. So I always, when I was riding my bike on the farm and everything, I always used to, daydream about the Dakar and how cool it would be to go and do something like this. And then in 2013, as a young adult in my early 20s, I had the chance to go to South America. And then when I was there, I met David Reeve from Zambia. He was the first Zambian. Daryl Curtis, Rion Vanikirk, they were South Africans who were pursuing their dream. So there were a lot of people who were from Southern Africa, and I thought the only thing missing here is a Zimbabwean. Like, why has no Zimbabwean done this? And then I thought I got to make it work. And 2013, I knew I'd be back. I'd be back as a rider. I didn't know how it would happen. I didn't know how it would piece together. I just knew somehow I've got to be here. Like, I know in my lifetime I'll be here. I'll ride this race. I'll finish it. And that through circumstance and life changes and where I was working and traveling, that only really came to fruition in 2017. And I knew, okay, 2020 it's happening. No more excuses, no more justifications on why it's not a good idea. It's like, it's happening. I got to decide that it's happening, and then the plan will come together. So, and that's what happened. I started my first race, met people, spoke to people. But I definitely say it's been something from the age of 5 or 6, 7 years old. Yeah, for any young children or any youngsters out there who want to do something that hasn't been done before, or who want to do something that they aspire to, without it being a cliche, just say, you make the decision up in your mind, and that's the first and the most challenging thing to do. When you decide and you commit to yourself, I want to do this. It's amazing how things come together in a way that help that come to fruition. You won't see it up front, but you look back and you see how all the dots connected. So you just decide, man, I want to do this, I want to do that, or that's the first and hardest step. You make a commitment to yourself that you're going to get this done, and then you just be relentless and chase your dream and don't stop until you catch it. And sure, you'll fail along the way, and I fell off the bike lots of times. I dislocated my knee. I tore tendons. I had a concussion, serious concussion in a training accident. I hurt my wrist. Those injuries will come. You just keep pushing on, and those setbacks put doubt in your mind. But you just got to know that it'll all come together. We have had the challenges of the economy in Zimbabwe. I knew that, and I wasn't unrealistic, but I just thought, okay, I've got to work harder than someone in Europe. I've got to work harder than someone in South Africa, because I've got to make it work. And I never felt I had to justify my dream. Your dream is yours. It belongs to you. No one can take it away from you. And when you achieve it, it's equally yours. And what a privilege to be able to chase down mine. And my message to any young biker out there, any young girl, any young boy, no matter where you are in Zimbabwe, is, man, chase your dreams, and don't let anyone tell you can't be done. There were naysayers who said to me, you can't do this, or you can't do that, or it's too expensive, or there's no dunes in Zimbabwe, or how are you going to deal with that? Sometimes I didn't have an answer, but I knew I was going to do it. And you just got to be relentless in your pursuit of what sets you on fire, and don't stop till you catch it. A lot of people have been asking me what's next. I think at this point in time, I'm digesting, I'm decompressing from this experience, I'm sharing it. I have a very strong urge to share this journey with people and inspire the next generation. I flew the flag for Zimbabwe, and I'm sort of a representative of Zimbabwe, and I'm proud to have done that. So at this point in time, no immediate plans. I will be going to the Victoria Falls Enduro in May. I'm trying to bring a couple of other Dakar riders down for that. I want to support local. I want to support that event. It's one of my favorite. And then there's a possibility of looking at some hard enduro events. So the Sea to Sky in Turkey, the Roof of Africa possibly in Lesotho. yeah, they're low-key events, but they're challenging in different areas. They're technically more challenging. They're not high speed, they're not rally orientated, they're not as financially taxing. So I think at this point in time, continuing the journey of sharing the story, but also who knows what opportunities might come up. And people say, are you going to do another Dakar? I don't think so at this point in time, just because of the financial commitments. It's very, very challenging to raise the funds required. But at the same time, I know what I'm in for now. I know what preparation is required. So I would go back with a little less uncertainty and more of an understanding of what I'm in for. But yeah, just really back now to enjoy the time and sort of relive the last couple of weeks and take in the accomplishment of achieving a childhood dream. So I think what's next for me and coming back from this adventure, what lies ahead. I'm really passionate about sharing Zimbabwe from a tourism perspective, adventure tourism. My background in the tourism industry, the whole catchphrase of Graham Sharp, My Dakar Safari, was sort of a shout out to where I'm from, the Zambezi Valley, Kariba, safari, a Swahili word for adventure. I think going forward, I'd really love to work with the various entities to help promote Zimbabwe. As ambassador for Zimbabwean tourism, to put Zimbabwe on the map. Motorcycle tours, overland tours, 4x4 safaris, and really just help try and portray Zimbabwe as a safe, positive, incredible destination to come on safari to come and visit. We've got Victoria Falls, but we have the Eastern Highlands, we have the Zambezi Valley, we have Mana Pools, we have Matobo, we have a strong and diverse culture. There's so much that we can be promoting in Zimbabwe away from the traditional. So having done the Dakar, all the Dakar stands for, the adventure, the unknown, the navigation, the challenging terrain, if I can tie that into an opportunity to promote Zimbabwe as a place where similar characteristics and traits are encountered, and similar senses of awe and inspiration from the natural beauty we have in Zimbabwe, then what a pleasure. So I'll do whatever I can to help promote Zimbabwe and make sure that people know that this is a good place to come visit.